Hi, my name is Zoe Dales, and my artist biography is on Jean Honore Fragonard. Some early information on Fragonard. He was born April 5th, 1732 in grassy southern France. He didn't grow up aspiring to be an artist. That wasn't his dream, but he found out that he was good at it and shortly began his journey to become one of the most prolific painters of the 18th century. Some education and training background. He first studied under Francois Bouchat and perfected his techniques on using pastels and creating decorative pictures. In 1752, he entered his first art contest, which was a prestigious one sponsored by Francois, and he won it. Later, Fragonard attended a prestigious academy called the Royal School for Protected Pupils. There he studied under a talented sketch artist named Carl van Loo. He mastered in sketching and red chalk techniques and developed his skills for garden scenes and landscape, which is what he's most famously known for. Fragonard went on to attend at the French Academy in Rome and was fostered by Charles Joseph Notour. Fragonard was not a good student, which is why Notour took him in under his wing, and he taught him the subject of history art. Fragonard didn't work at a specific place. He was what we would call today a freelance artist. He worked for royal commissioners and private collectors. Fragonard was only noticed by these royal commissioners because of his first public debut at the Salon of 1765. This painting that he debuted, it got him noticed and crowned as the best history artist of his generation. But Fragonard soon realized he was not interested in history art and quickly changed his interest toward the genre he's most known for, which is painting love scenes. This was unfortunately not well accepted in the art community because it's highly unusual for people to move away from this subject, and because he was so talented at this subject, people were confused or didn't understand why he would leave it for something that was perceived as promiscuous. He rejected offers for history art commissions and drifted toward private commissioners and collectors. This allowed him for more artistic freedom. One of his most famous masterpieces was commissioned by King Louis V's mistresses. Her name was Madame du Barry, but she actually rejected his piece because it wasn't classy enough for her style. After this rejection, he took a trip to Italy to create artwork for a wealthy general who sparked his motivation to create one of his famous paintings called The Swing. From 1794 through 1797, he helped create the new National Museum, and he worked there for a while. He was a Rococo and late Baroque artist, which was during the early 17th through mid-18th century. His first painting was actually in 1753, which was called Diana and Endymion. He was not a well-respected artist because he had a more erotic and intimate style. His style wasn't just one thing. He was a spontaneous artist. He preferred to paint something that conveyed love, passion, and intimacy. And even though his style fell through with some people's opinions, he still was one of the most prolific painters during this time. When he lost his job at the museum, his Rococo and Baroque style kind of fell out of interest, and he tried to transition to a more neoclassical style, but he had a hard time transitioning to the more polished techniques. So I've already mentioned some of his significant artworks, which is The Swing and The Progress of Love. The Swing is probably the most well-known painting done by him. It exemplifies his fine coloring and brushwork. It also shows the energy he puts into his artwork. The Progress of Love is a 4-canvas painting, which was the one that Madame du Barry rejected. This is the first one of the 4. It shows the story of two people falling in love. This is him chasing her around, kind of like a flirtatious interaction. The third one I chose, this is the painting that Fragonard did for his first public debut. I chose this one because this is the painting that put him on the map. The society conditions during the 18th century in France was a feudalism societal structure, which means that there was a clergy, noble, and serfs, which were also known as peasants. The clergy and the nobles were at the top of the social class. They were the upper class, and you're usually born into this. And the serfs were the underprivileged and the lower class. The economic conditions in France during the 18th century were not good because there was an economic crisis that resulted in starvation. France was rapidly growing in population, so it spread to starvation and famine, and raising prices because of wars and taxes resulted in bread riots in the streets. Overall, society was harshly affected by the economic conditions. Turmoil and tensions arose from the social classes because of unfair taxes. The lower class were getting taxed heavier than the upper class, and they didn't have the means to pay those taxes, and the nobles were refusing to pay those taxes. France was the center of an autocratic monarchy, which meant the monarch had absolute control and unlimited power, and a lot of monarchs during this time thought that they were a representation of God because of how much power that they had. Louis XV, he reigned from 1715 through 1774. His reign resulted in many wars and left France bankrupt. He underestimated the price and how much a war was, which left France bankrupt, and there was a lot of unnecessary spending on luxury goods. Louis XVI, he reigned from 1774 through 1793. He's most famously known for his Austrian empress wife, Marie Antoinette. She interfered and participated in a lot of state affairs, and the king let her, which created a lot of disrespect between his people and the monarch because he let his wife make political decisions. Overall, the absolute monarch, the insufficient administration, and overspending on necessary goods led to the French Revolution. Catholicism was the official religion in France during the 18th century, and the church had a lot of power, which people did not like, and created a lot of distrust because it had close ties to the monarchy, and people saw that it was too powerful and too political to be a church, which meant that there was not a whole lot of religious freedom during this time, and the unstableness in France also affected the religion in France because it flowed over into religion as well. It created a massive divide from the church and the social classes. My overall final judgment on Jean-Honore Fragonard is that he was super talented, but unfortunately I think he was misperceived. He was bold and he wanted to paint what he wanted to paint, and a lot of people didn't agree with what he painted, but I think he had an amazing ability to tell stories with his paintings, and there's just a lot of energy and color with his paintings, and it's just sad that maybe a lot of people didn't agree with him and criticized him a lot for it, but I love his paintings, and yeah, I think he was a very talented artist. Thank you.